It all kicked off with just one sentence, a sentence that blew up across Hollywood like a hidden explosion. "He's a complete idiot." Those words didn't come from some upset background actor, not from a secret tip, not from a jealous director holding a grudge. No, they came from Dick Van Dyke, the guy who danced with penguins, brought happiness to kids for years, and had never shown any anger before. At 100 years old, this loved TV star, a guy whose grin pretty much created happy days, sat down for what everyone thought would be a gentle chat about his long career. But the cameras had only been on for about 10 minutes when things got intense. Rob Reiner's name came up, and Dick Van Dyke changed. His eyes got narrow, his jaw tightened, and then he said that line with real anger he hadn't shown in 100 years of talks. "He's a complete idiot." But why? Why say it now? Why let out years of built-up anger, especially when the Reiner family had just gone through their worst nightmare? Because this isn't just some celebrity fight. This isn't another grumpy star moment. This is a family breaking apart over generations. A famous name ruined. A crime with more mysteries than answers. And right in the middle, the guy Dick Van Dyke just tore apart on camera. Rob Reiner, 78 years old, director, activist, comedy star, and now gone, stabbed, along with his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. Their bodies found lying in their $13.5 million home in Brentwood, found by their daughter Romy, with blood still fresh on the floor, and the one charged with their deaths, their son Nick Reiner, 32 years old, struggling, smart, unpredictable, found just steps away, staying in the guest house on the property. Calm, almost strangely calm. Now picture this. As police checked the scene, as news helicopters flew above, as social media filled with sadness, shock, and wild ideas, Dick Van Dyke, the last survivor from entertainment's best years, picked that very time to share what he truly thought of Rob Reiner. Not only did he dislike him, not only did he not trust him, he said he had tried to tell people about Rob for years. So you wonder, what did Dick Van Dyke know that others didn't? Because when a 100-year-old legend says something emotional like this, while a famous family falls apart, it's more than just old anger. There's past events, there's hurt feelings, and maybe there's regret. The kind of regret that builds up for years until it can't stay hidden. Let's look back. Let's go over the old recordings, the ones the Reiners didn't want seen. Let's check the old talks, the fancy events, the awkward, quiet moments, and the looks that meant more than words. Let's listen to the quiet talks from people inside who kept quiet until now. Because if Dick Van Dyke made one thing clear in that strong interview, it's this. He doesn't care about saving faces anymore. The guy is 100. He's lived longer than almost everyone, and he has nothing to lose. And that might be what makes this so scary. He doesn't need to make up tales. He doesn't want fame. If anything, he's been too quiet over the years, too polite, too kind, which is why this sudden outburst matters. It's not just complaining. It's like admitting something. It's a final settling of scores with a guy he says wasn't what everyone thought. But here's where it gets really weird. Because right after Van Dyke's words hit the news, Romy Reiner, the daughter who found the bodies, gave a report to police. A report that shocked the detectives. She said someone in her family was risky, that this person needed closer watching, that this person could definitely be violent. And no, she wasn't pointing to her brother Nick. She meant someone else, someone sneaky, someone bossy, someone who should have been stopped long ago. So, who did she mean? Was it Rob himself? Was it her mom? Or was there another person police kept secret? Now, add this shocking fact from the staff at the Reiner home, who said one part of the house was off limits even to family. That odd fights late at night happened often, that Rob had gotten worried in his last years, putting in more locks and telling his son Nick to check the cameras. What was he scared of? And how does this link to Dick Van Dyke's strong words? Because here's the craziest thing. Dick Van Dyke had actually been to that house 2 times, once in the early 2000s and once just 2 years ago, and according to someone close to the actor, he left both times angry. Wouldn't shake Rob's hand, told his driver, "Something's wrong in that house. Something bad is going on there." Back then, people ignored it. They blamed it on old age, on annoyance. After all, Dick Van Dyke was a symbol of fun. Maybe he just didn't like Rob's strong style. But now, it seems like a warning we missed. And the big question is, what did Dick notice? Because no one has ever said out loud what Dick Van Dyke just did. Hollywood doesn't allow that. There's too much cash, too many images to protect, too many hidden things under famous stars. But this tale is different. This one has a dead director, an admission from a 100-year-old star, a daughter who keeps speaking, and a son in jail who hasn't talked. Not yet. And if you think this is just another star drama, you're not prepared for what's next. Because we've only started on this dark Hollywood story. We haven't even gotten to the journal found in Nick's room, or the lost video from the home cameras, or the message from Rob Reiner to a big producer, sent just 12 hours before he died. So, get ready, because the Reiner family is falling apart piece by piece. And Dick Van Dyke just started the fire. But what's coming will make what you've heard seem mild. And no one, not even the police, expected it. What happens when a guy who grinned for 100 years finally shows his true feelings? That's what we have to think about as the video starts. It's a bright day in Malibu. The ocean waves crash. Birds call overhead. The team is preparing outside on a nice wood deck facing the sea. And in the middle, in a bright blue sweater and clean pants, sits Dick Van Dyke. Happy, friendly, joking with the camera crew, just like you'd think. For the first minutes, it's what fans hoped for. He's chuckling about Mary Poppins, telling stories from the Dick Van Dyke Show, joking about being 100. "I feel like an old car," he says, with that famous smile. Shiny outside, worn out inside. But then it happens. The change, the moment. The host, young, polite, trying to act relaxed, mentions a name. "So, you worked a lot with Carl Reiner. Did you ever meet his son, Rob?" There's a short quiet. It's not long, but something changes in Dick's face. His smile goes away fast. His eyes narrow. He leans in a bit, and then he says it. "Rob Reiner." "Yeah, I knew Rob. He's a complete idiot." That's the line that spread everywhere. That's the part news sites shared. The moment social media went wild, the moment young people, many who hardly knew these guys, thought, "Whoa, what did Dick Van Dyke just say?" But what came after was even more upsetting, because instead of joking it away, instead of fixing it with a fun comment, Dick stood by it. "You want the real story?" he said. "I think he hurt people in quiet ways, and no one ever stopped him." Stop for a moment. Think, why would a 100-year-old loved star suddenly attack another famous Hollywood person? Why risk that? Why now? What was behind that angry look? To get it, we need to go back, not just to this talk, but to the years of connection between these two. Because they go far back. The early days, two famous families meet. In the 1960s, Dick Van Dyke and Rob Reiner were close. Not just working teams, together. Real friends, like creative partners. Reiner made the Dick Van Dyke Show. He helped shape Dick's career, stood up for him, saw his talent when others didn't. Rob was just Carl's son then. A chubby, shy teen coming to recordings, watching his dad direct, sitting quietly aside. But according to Dick, even then Rob was odd. I remember seeing him in the corner. Dick said to the host, he didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He didn't even cheer when his dad nailed a part. He just watched, like he was planning something. Was that too much? Maybe. But more than one person from back then has said they saw the same. One worker who didn't want their name out called Rob Smart, but stuck up even young. He acted like we all answered to him, the person said. And this was before he ever directed. When Rob got into the industry, it wasn't just because of family connections. He had real skill. No doubt. This is Spinal Tap. Stand by Me. When Harry Met Sally, these were hits for a reason. He had ideas. But with ideas came a sharp side, a cold way, a habit of cutting ties. And Dick Van Dyke says he spotted that sharp side early. The dinner that went bad. Jump to 1995. By then, Rob is a top director. Dick is mostly retired but still popular. They're at a private Hollywood dinner in Beverly Hills, one of those fancy gatherings where laughs are important and deals happen over drinks. According to someone there that night, it went wrong. Dick told a joke about old TV comedies, the person said. Nothing mean. And Rob just reacted strong. He leaned over and said, people like you are why this industry still thinks simple gags are smart. It quieted everyone. Dick Van Dyke, the guy who danced with cartoon penguins, just smiled, but later he told a friend there's something wrong with him, something his dad missed. That words stuck for years, a secret fight, and a scary visit. But it got darker in 2003, and that year, Dick went to a private showing of one of Rob's serious films. The event was at the Reiner home in Brentwood. Yes, that house. The same place where Rob and Michelle died years later. And according to Dick, it bothered him. He showed me around. Dick said in the interview, wanted to brag about his wine room, his safe room, his stuff. I felt like I was in a shelter. The place smelled of fear. Now, was that just worry, or did Dick feel something true? Because in that same talk, Dick shared another big thing. Rob said something odd that night. He said, sometimes you have to remove the bad part to save the whole. I asked what he meant. He said, you'll get it one day. That hasn't been checked by others, but it fits what people have suggested. That Rob got more focused on control, family name, and rules in later years. The last straw, according to Dick, was in 2016. Rob had been speaking out against certain leaders, often on news shows, loved by some groups. But privately, Dick says he was hard on people he didn't agree with in his family. He was controlling them, Dick said, especially the kid. He meant Nick. And that's when Dick's voice got a bit shaky. I knew Nick young, he said. He was nice, quiet, but bright. And when I saw him later, it was like his spark was gone. This gets hard. Because what Dick suggests next is that Rob might have been hurting his son emotionally or mentally. He wanted to shape him, Dick said, but I think he broke him instead. Now remember, this was before the deaths, before the news, before Nick's photo everywhere. Dick said this before anyone knew what would happen soon after. which makes you think. Was Dick Van Dyke trying to alert us somehow? Was this talk an admission, a call for help, a last try to prevent what he worried was coming? Back to the interview. After those strong words, the host, clearly upset, tried to change topic. Tried to go back to nice stuff, but Dick wouldn't let it. He looked at the camera, voice firm, and said, "If something bad happens to that family, remember it didn't come from nothing. We all saw signs. We just didn't look." That part didn't air in the end. Makers said it was not on topic and too guessing, but a leaked early version has it clear, raw, scary, and when that part got out, it changed everything because this wasn't gossip. It was a heads up, and with what happened at the Brentwood home, the blood, the hurt, the quiet, it now means a lot. But what followed would shift it all, and no one expected it. How does a guy go from Hollywood favorite to quiet warnings and bloody sadness? That's the tough question over Rob Reiner's name, a man who shaped how a generation saw love and fun on screen. And yet, according to more than one person near him, caused fear, quiet, and anger behind doors. Because while everyone saw the grinning meathead from All in the Family, the warm director of Stand By Me, the romance expert of When Harry Met Sally, there was another Rob. The one Dick Van Dyke called a complete idiot. The one who supposedly yelled at his son during treatment visits. The one who, in his last days, told a friend, "I made a success from charm. And now it's hurting me. Let's go back." Because to get how it fell apart, we need to see how it started. The young star of comedy fame, Rob Reiner, didn't grow up normal. He was born into it. Son of Carl Reiner, a comedy giant, and Estelle Reiner, a singer and actress, Rob grew up where jokes were normal and meals felt like planning sessions. Guests were Mel Brooks, Sid Caesar, and Dick Van Dyke himself. To outsiders, it was perfect, but people inside say it was more like a high-pressure test. "You didn't laugh unless it was good," said one family friend. "You didn't talk unless it was clever. Even kids had to perform." Rob, trying to shine next to his dad, got a guarded pride. He wasn't unkind at first, just pointed, in control, planned, a perfection seeker. And by the time he got the part of Michael Meathead Stivic on All in the Family in 1971, that drive turned into something more. Control, fixation, need to succeed. And when All in the Family got huge, so did Rob's confidence. "He was great," said a co-star. "But he showed if you weren't smart like him, you didn't count." The director who made everyone love. Now, here's the opposite side. Because for all the hidden dark stuff, on screen, Rob was great at showing real feelings. His movies felt warm, true, touching. Stand By Me, a growing-up classic. The Princess Bride. Fun magic. A Few Good Men. Tense, strong, memorable. He wasn't just good. He could do many types. He could make you laugh, cry, and think about big issues all in one day. Reviewers called him the honest storyteller. Companies saw him as safe money, and fans loved him. But here's the catch. As his films got more positive, his real relationships got colder. The set whispers. Behind the scenes, Reiner was strong. He kept things strict, wanted perfect work, wanted following. Many workers on his movies from the 80s to 2010s have talked quietly about the stress. "You were in Rob's close group," one worker said, "or you didn't matter." Another said, "He didn't shout like some, it was worse. He'd make you feel small with quiet, eye rolls, a nice word that was really a put-down." For example, During Misery filming, a young helper brought the wrong plans. In front of everyone, Rob supposedly said, "Thanks for showing why helpers don't get paid much." It got laughs, but the helper quit. It was these quiet power moves that gave Rob a hard rep, hidden under his public support and Hollywood respect. Because Rob didn't just make films, he made friends in power, the political figure. In the 2000s, Reiner changed again, into a strong voice for certain views. He gave big money to causes, went on news often, started groups, fought laws, spoke against leaders. To many, he was a hero, an older Hollywood guy using his money and voice for good. But to some around him, it seemed planned. He needed a new role, said a past helper, because his movie ideas were slowing. The business changed, so he became a political star. And with that came more control. He supposedly stopped talking to friends who voted different, scolded a family friend for having someone with other views at dinner, stopped helping a relative's movie after the story had jokes he didn't like. It was his rules or nothing. Even his family felt it. The family guy with no space for mess. From outside, Rob and Michelle seemed ideal. Married long, both successful, close family, but problems were growing big. People near say Rob got more picky with his kids, especially Nick. He didn't get Nick's struggles, said someone close. He saw addiction as not trying, sadness as lazy. He wanted Nick to toughen up. Nick, dealing with drug issues, went in and out of help places in his 20s. At first, Rob paid, but not much feeling support. He'd call him useless, one friend remembered, right to his face at meals. And yet, Nick stayed connected. He lived in the guest house, stayed close to the dad he couldn't make happy. Why? Some say money trapped him. Others say feelings held him, still wanting okay from Dad. But one helper who worked with Nick called it typical control. Nick was in Rob's shadow, and Rob wanted it that way. It made him feel secure. The journal notes that came out after the death. After the deaths, police found a journal in Nick Reiner's room. Most parts were unclear, random thoughts, but one from weeks before stood out. It said, "He told me I'm worthless without his name, that I should thank him for letting me stay, that I'm a bad copy of what he made, but if I'm nothing, why keep me near?" That sad note was just start. Police also found parts about fights, no sleep, nights, and one strange line. "The house has rooms even he avoids now." What did that mean? Symbol or real? Anyway, it added to the idea that bad stuff was growing in the Reiner home, and that Rob, with all his skill and views, had become the strict ruler of his home, the bad side behind the happy face. After he died, fans were sad. Stars shared nice words. Old scenes from All in the Family and The Princess Bride came back. But under the memories, something else grew. A view of a man who changed from who people loved. Not bad, not evil, but taken over by name, look, desperate to be remembered good. And maybe that want hurt the people he wanted to impress. His wife, his son, his daughter. And if you trust Dick Van Dyke, Rob Reiner himself started the problem. Because what's next isn't just pride. It's what happens when a guy makes a cage from fame and traps his family in it. And the first to hear the cries was Romy Reiner. But what she found would change it all. What do you imagine when you drive up to a $13.5 million house in Brentwood? For most, it's the goal. Big green yards, tall trees, high walls hiding it. A sign of old rich privacy in one of LA's fancy areas. But to Romy Reiner, the 27-year-old daughter who found her parents' bodies. It wasn't just a home. It was a trap, a maze, a danger that had been building for years. Because inside that property, behind the strong gates and nice inside look, something bad had been growing. And people who visited often felt uneasy, like something was hidden in the walls, and some said it really was. A house too large for ease. The Reiner property was huge, over 12,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a movie room, library, wine storage, pool, tennis area, a separate guest house where Nick Reiner stayed. But it wasn't the bigness that bothered people. It was the quiet. You'd think a big house like that would have luxury. Shush! Music, life, said one past worker. But there wasn't. Just cold, empty quiet. Like even the walls were scared to sound. Another worker said the lights were kept low on purpose. They had dark curtains always closed. It felt like a safe hideout, not a home. According to workers who did updates over years, Rob Reiner got more focused on alone time and safety. He had us add another camera system. Not just watching, but strong locks inside rooms. One worker said, "We made a hidden safe room behind a bookcase. No sound, strong metal. But here's the catch. Michelle Reiner didn't like it. She wanted light, sounds, visitors," the worker said. But Rob kept adding barriers. The room no one could go in. In talks after the deaths, Romy told police something scary. There was one room we couldn't enter. She said, even when Dad was away, the room, according to plans leaked by a home seller, wasn't listed as a bedroom. It was just storage east side. But Romy called it the dark room. She says her dad put in finger scan locks that he'd go into for hours, sometimes longer. Once when I was 19, she said, "I got in. I just needed a charger. The door wasn't locked." What she says, she saw books. Tons of them. Piles high, watching screens. Not just of the house, but supposedly of his kids. He had views on the guest house, one in the drive, even one in the old kids' treehouse. She says when her dad found out, he didn't shout. He just stood quiet, cold, and said, "That part of the house isn't for you. Never was, never will be." She never tried again. Nick's space, the guest house trap. Let's talk about the guest house. It looked nice. 2 levels, new kitchen, full bathroom, own door. In theory, Nick had his own place, but people near say it wasn't real freedom. It was more like a guard spot, said one friend. He didn't choose to live there. He was put there, aside, but still seen. In fact, a past neighbor says Nick once said, "It's like being invisible in your family. I'm there, but no one notices." Worse, the Guy Sade house had windows that showed outside, but from inside looked straight at the main house's east side, right at the dark room. Just chance? Some think not. Signs of fixation. There's a clear pattern, one that shows Rob Reiner as more than a control person, more than a careful dad, more than a Hollywood boss. Many workers, neighbors, even old friends described the same. A man slowly pulling away from normal. He had a framed map of the land in his office. One garden worker said with small marks, like army plans. He'd write notes, move marks, note weak spots. He was fixed on dangers. The worker said the word risk was all over. This was a man who made career showing truths in movies. But privately, he was making a strong hold. And holds aren't for comfort. They're for fights. Odd things before the deaths. In the 6 months before, several weird events happened at the property. Delivery people said they had to leave packages at gate. No ringing. A neighbor's dog that used to play in the yard got hurt, caught in new wire. Michelle, according to a friend, said she didn't feel the house was hers anymore. Romy once said she heard a non-human scream from the east side at 2 a.m. And maybe worst, Nick Reiner stopped going out from the guest house for 3 weeks. Food delivered, trash taken by workers, but he stayed inside, not once out. And then he went out, and soon after, his parents were dead. The setup that makes you wonder. The police notes said something strange about the scene. No break-in signs, no broken windows, no forced doors, no alarms, which makes you think, did Nick have main house access even after being mostly in guest house? And if yes, why no one stopped? But here's darker, because according to early check reports leaked, Rob and Michelle weren't killed in same spot. Michelle found in library, leaning on books, defense marks on arms. Rob found in dark room, and alone, face down, blood under, with look of, the word in notes, confusion. The police pictures they won't show. When Romy called for help, she supposedly said something odd to the operator. I think it was someone we know. Someone Dad feared, but he didn't say who. She didn't say Nick first. She called the scene planned, aimed, not wild. But here's really haunting. One police person quietly said the dark room photos. There were pictures, he said, printed, arranged, faces crossed out, some family, some unknown, and in middle, a screen still showing loop video. The video showed library where Michelle died. Was Rob watching? Watching her die? Or someone watching him? What was the Reiner house really keeping secret? It's easy to dream about star homes, to think nice floors and perfect gardens mean happy. But Brentwood isn't just luxury. It's a front, a place where look matters and secrets stay hidden easier with tall bushes. The Reiner property, once Rob's proud show, now feels like a bad soul scene. Every room has a story. The kitchen, where meals got cold. The movie room, where no one watched together anymore. The guest house where a son waited, hurt in quiet. The dark room, a private spot turned grave. And in center, a man who tried to make a control palace, only ruined by what he couldn't control, his own child. But if Rob built the walls, and Nick was trapped, then what was Romy's part? Because she didn't just find the bodies. She found something else that day, something hidden, something risky, and something she wouldn't give police. What makes a son a suspect? That's the question around Nick Reiner. Once the hoped-for kid of a Hollywood line, now accused of killing both parents. A name once quietly said in circles as smart but troubled. Now big news as Hollywood's worst hidden thing. But the truth didn't start with blood. It started with high hopes, pressure. A childhood under fame, pride, and heavy weight of being a Reiner. Because Nick Reiner wasn't just any son. He was next for two big names. The line of Carl Reiner, comedy leader, and Rob Reiner, culture shaper. But no one asked if Nick wanted it. Born into a trap. From birth, Nick was in public eye, like it or not. Baby pictures with Rob at events. Family holiday cards sent by helpers. A baby room made by famous designer. Nothing normal about growing up. Not even his bed. It was like growing on a set. A past nanny said, cameras, plans, high hopes. Rob wanted his son amazing from start. By 6, Nick in acting lessons. By 9, writing short stories he had to act for guests. They weren't play, said a family friend. They were dark, sad, but Rob would laugh and say, "That's my kid." Behind laughs, something colder, because young, Nick showed signs of feeling pain, and no one, teachers, family, even helpers, took it serious. Why? Because in Reiner family, look first. The first big problem. Nick was 13 first time in hospital for mind health crisis. A breakdown, papers called. What happened? He stayed in room 36 hours. No food, no sleep, covered windows dark, left strange notes under door. One said, "They say I'm lucky, but I feel drowning in others' dream." After, sent to fancy place in Arizona. Rob visited once, Michelle twice, Dick Van Dyke, oddly, 3 times. They clicked. A nurse remembered. Dick just sat. Didn't push. Only one not trying to change him. But home, nothing better. The unseen son, Nick once told a friend. They made stories, but never let me have mine. That was his teen years theme. Unseen. He stopped going to events, not in family pictures. Became the other Reiner. But privately, he watched, read, wrote a lot. By 19, over 40 stories written, none made. By 21, short help on scripts. By 23, back in help for drug issue, and quiet. No news, no talks, just quiet talk of another Reiner problem hidden with papers. But in property, pressure grow, wing. The night he called for help. This story almost forgotten under new bad news. But 3 years before deaths, Nick Reiner called 911 that shocked the person. He said, "I think my parents will hurt each other and want me to see." The call short, mixed, maybe from drugs. Police came, no charges. Rob said misunderstanding from addiction. But Rami told friend different. That night bad. Dad broke chair. Mom hid in bath. Nick yelled, but not mad. Scared. After, Nick gone 6 months. Not seen. Phone off. Some thought help again, but truth. In guest house close to Maine. Alone, watched, controlled. The failed show deal. In 2022, Nick supposedly talking to streaming for series on his life. Name: The Boy in the Guest House. According to people, it was honest. Hard. Personal. Story of Hollywood kid whose dad saw him as problem. Mom looked away. Sister tried help, but blocked. But before done, something. Rob stopped it. Angry, said one maker. Told company no deal or he stops working with them. Project stopped fast. And Nick fell again. Back to bad habits, worry, writing worse in private notes. The journal notes before deaths. In 1-2 weeks before, Nick wrote, "They say blood thicker than water, but here, blood just to clean up." Another, "I wait for someone to see real me. Not their idea, just me. But maybe that me gone." And last sad one, "If they die, am I free? Or just last alone in-house? Smart, addict, both." So who is Nick Reiner? Hurt from family pain passed down? Bright mind, hurt by pressure and quiet? Or violent planner who turned on givers? Or hard, all? Because smart and crazy often close. Addiction not erase skill and pain not always excuse bad acts. But strangest, even after arrest, Nick quiet. No words out, no statements, no sad court talk, just quiet, like letting world tell his story again. But one person says heard him talk after deaths. One person saw what we shouldn't, Romy. And the picture she took, one police maybe tried to remove, might change what we think. How does a family meal end in blood? That's what detectives, neighbors, fans ask since the bad deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner, a pair known for Hollywood shine, now shown with awful violence. The official words were plain. Robert Reiner, 78, and Michelle Singer Reiner, 70, found dead at Brentwood home. Their son, Nicholas Reiner, 32, in custody charged with 2 first-degree murders. But behind short words, a night scary, messy, and oddly planned that even experienced police said one thing. It felt practiced. This wasn't sudden anger, not wild act. It was build-up, the last hard part of a long, quiet song in Reiner home. And it started with a message. 5:07 p.m. The call. According to Romy's words to police, evening supposed to be simple. Family meal. Just 4. Rob, Michelle, Nick, Romy. Romy said she got text from Mom at 5:07. Dad wants you at 7. Nick cooking. Brave. With question marks. The brave. It felt wrong already. Later, Romy told police. Mom never joked about Nick cooking. Never said brave. I think she was afraid. But Romy came. She didn't know what waited. 6:30 p.m. Odd in guest house. Video from nearby home, not Reiner, which lost power oddly that night, showed movement near guest house door around 6:30. Nick comes out. All black clothes, no shoes. Walks to main, carrying small box. Police not said what's in, but talk says family letters, old photos. Some think weapon. Then Nick goes in house. Not seen on outside cameras again. 7:00 p.m. Meal starts strange. Romy arrives. Parkside texts Michelle. Here, no reply. Goes back, wait. Enters kitchen. She says lights low, like power part back. Inside, Nick at stove, mixing pot. Calm, focused, too calm, she says. Didn't look at me, just said, good you came. Almost ready. That almost ready. For what? Romy says she felt wrong right away. House too quiet. Dad not in usual spot pacing. Mom not preparing table. She asked Nick where they. He said, she's in library. He's in his room. Better like this. More meaningful. 7:12 p.m. The cry. One cry, sharp. Romy ran hall to library, but Nick blocked. Stood hallway, arms out, small smile. Let them end, he whispered. They always fought. I just stopped it. Romy pushed by and went in library. Found Mom fallen by books, bleeding, breathing hard, trying talk, but not. Michelle's last time. One tear on cheek. Looked at Romy, then stopped. Romy cried loud. Nick stood still. 7:17 p.m. Second body. Police say Romy ran from library calling help. But before out, turned to east side, to dark room. Why? Door open more than ever, light out, sound soft static like bad speaker from inside. She went closer. Inside, saw Rob Reiner face down, blood under chest. Beside, torn journal pages, screens glowing. Screen changing. Smell, she told police, metal and bad. Like air, bad to breathe. She stepped back and took photo not of Dad of screens, because on screens supposedly paused pictures of Michelle in library-facing camera. Eyes open like saw unexpected person. 7:20 p.m. Help call. Romy got out house and called that started big news, her words broken. My parents, I think, dead. I don't know. My brother Nick not right. Too calm. He planned. I don't think he alone. Wait, not alone. That part shocked police because all reports point to Nick alone. But Romy stuck. She said Nick influenced, voices, someone giving ideas, and Dad knew coming. The screen with last note. Police found screen by Rob's body. On it, open note, not sent, typed. Shah, Ort, 7 lines. If this happens, blame me. I let it grow. I protected wrong. I made quiet. I taught no cry. I watched bad grow and called order. This always end blood. I hoped only me bleed. Was this end note, admit, last try good? We don't know, but adds question. Was Rob trying stop son, or accept what come? The after. Nick found calm on guest house couch. Hands clean, clothes new, hair wet. Showered. Didn't fight arrest? No lawyer ask. When asked parents, said, back to start. When asked why, smiled, said, they'll get it someday. Unanswered things. Proof strong but not full. Why house cameras off that night? Why safe room not used? Why Michelle send odd text before death? And most, who, if any, influencing Nick? Because Romy says brother, not alone in head. She said like someone whispering unseen. Was crazy, fear, or manipulated by other. We may not know all, but we know that night took 2 lives. Broke a name. Showed family worst secrets. Left one witness with only picture that might explain. And Romy hasn't shared because, she says, what's in it could hurt more than family. What if quietest person has biggest truth? That's question around Romy Reiner, only living from main house and one who saw all from inside. Not just crime, but family break, years quiet, dark control ways in Brentwood home. And till now, she's been unseen. Not to cameras, maybe. She's in photos, social, some talks, but to story, gone. Because in home full of Rob and Nick tension, Romy was different. The watcher, the recorder, and maybe only one who got what Reiner name hid. The shadow of name. Romy, born 1997, second kid of Rob and Michelle Reiner. And from start, compare clear. Nick artist. Wild. Hoped son. Romy after. Smart. Nice, quiet. Rob supposedly told Maker on set. Romy good. Easy like mom. Sounds nice first, but to close people showed more. Romy no trouble, so ignored. She was holder. Long family helper said she fixed between Nick and Rob. Mom and workers, even guests, always calming, quiet, polite, never loud to fear, never wild to notice. But unseen gave her edge. She saw all. The hidden recorder. Friends say Romy had odd way. She saved sounds, not public, not for likes, private. On old phone she kept working, but not new. She'd record talks, fights, even quiet words through walls. She said once no one believe without proof, said old classmate. Then thought worry. Now not sure. After deaths, police found over 150 sound files on phone. One called Dad Mad, Nick out again. Another Mom sad in bath July. But one file not public, just called The Deal. What deal? What so secret Romy saved plain? Only she knows. And she not given yet. The girl who saw coming. Days before deaths. Romy trying leave. Applied school far. Talked home cellar New York. Even packed quiet night while parents sleep. But always something held. Nick falling apart, she told police. Talking alone, writing on mirrors, sleep with knife. She told Dad. Rob said, he's always extra. He'll stop. but Romy not think. Told Mom, something bad coming, feel it. And Michelle, always calm maker, hugged daughter, said, then keep calm till passes. It didn't pass the moment she took photo. Remember from earlier, Romy going dark room, seeing dad body. But not full, the snap photo. Why in shock take picture? Because Romy prepared years, seen too much gone. 2 truths changed by dad's team. 2 events hidden. So saw screens, video still, acted fast. Took photo and according source close, image has disturbing. Not bad sight, not blood, but reflection. Person figure, not Rob, not Michelle, not Nick. In back of paused video, face fuzzy, body hard, see. But there. And Romy not explain who. Her police talks, and things not said. Romy gave 2 police talks. First calm, clear, detailed. Described events clear. But second, more careful, less open. Asked about file. O said, not ready. Asked if Nick alone, said, depends what alone means. Asked if safe, paused, whispered, not really. What hiding? Here ideas many. Some think Romy knows who affected Nick, maybe helper, guide, or unknown family. Others think she may be part. Long hurt daughter too much, but most say Romy knows more. And if talk about image true, image with shadow figure in death video, then story not done. Because if Nick not alone, who else in house? The odd man at service. Week after deaths, family had private remember event. Few came, no photos close. But according to guests, man showed back. Late 30s, tall, black clothes. Not family, not media, not worker. No sign book, no talk. Just watched Romy far. One guest asked who. Romy, supposedly pale, said, can't be, he's gone. Then man left. Some think sad mix, grief. Others links to Romy private writings about lost brother. No record, no paper, just talk. The lost brother idea. Theory not proven that Rob and Michelle had 3rd kid, lost birth, or secret. According some, Romy wrote school poems about 3 kids born quiet, 1 gone before clear. In one note, remember hearing cry, but no name said. Is dream, symbol, or real bad under Reiner past? If Romy quiet protect, what protect from the proof in hands? So far, Romy not share photo public, not give some notes, not full sound file the deal. Why? Says waiting right time. Some call mean, others smart. But Romy only one left who saw all sides. Public Rob, bad Nick, sad Michelle, and who or what image on screen be. And big thing. Romy got lawyer recent. Not defend, not private, for make deal. She's offering story. Streaming, big channels, title inheritance. What's next? We don't know when Romy share photo. Don't know deal sound has. Don't know figure in video who. But sure, Romy not finished talking. Just starting. And next talk. Maybe not police. Maybe not news. Ma, I be on screen for you. And then, all we think about Reiner deaths could break. What would make son kill parents who raised him? In Nick Reiner case, maybe not anger. Maybe not hate. Maybe something scarier. Following, because when police checked guest house where Nick lived long in parents' shadow, they not just find scene. Found journal, black book worn, pages turned many times, but not doodles or complaints, like plan, story, countdown. And center, something called deal, agreement with who. That's where story turns bad. The find journal. In search guest house after deaths, officers found Nick room very clean. No fight signs, no blood, no old clothes or tools. But there, middle desk, journal, cover, just date. October 10th, 10. Why date? Police not know, but word expert said that part change mind. Voice changes, expert said, from thinking to decided, from hurt to angry. From that date, Nick notes darker, ordered, like making play. Some parts shared not full. Though full sealed, some leaked from close check. Let's see. Note, October 10th, 2010. He said, I not know pain, not know name, should thank. So asked what do with thank. Said make useful. Then knew burn all. Note, December 12th, 2012. Title inheritance. She said not planned me her way, give him hold. But he not hold, just watch me, her, Romy, world. He not love, he arranges. Note, April 9th, 2017. First deal mention. She came dark room, said both trapped. Said he made housekeep us. Then said way out, but you start. Thought dream, but woke closet open. Inside first deal page, who she? Police first thought Michelle, but Romy supposedly told detective, not mom, someone else, someone he said in walls. This started new ideas. Was Nick seeing things? Bad worry? Or as some bad ideas, someone really guiding? Because if take writing real, Nick thought, deal, not dream. Real agreement terms results deadline. The deal terms from notes. 3 main rules all through Nick writing. 1 give so 2 free. House closed before blood. Ghost accept or choose for you. Some say symbol. Others, especially third child idea believers, think real bad. Because if C as steps matches night events, scary. Rob Michelle killed separate, 1 first. Property cameras off, like closed. And Romy only 1 except ghost in talks. Just chance? Or Nick following plan he thought power? The deal. Sound file on Romy phone. Remember earlier, Romy sound save. 1 not out. The deal. According person heard, not Nick recording. Rob. Whisper talk, maybe through air or wall. Source says Rob says. They think I not see, but they're watching him. Thought contain, but feeding him now. If breaks him, breaks all. Who, what Rob mean? Nick mind issue? Symbol hurt? Or worse? A note hidden in Michelle book. After deaths, police checked Michelle library. In old book Wuthering Heights note her writing. Said, if he does what think, not just blame him. Blame quiet. Blame power kept truth hidden. Above all blame me not leave. Signed M. This not public till now. Admit or blame. Together, journal, sound, hidden note, show hard to miss. Something building, pressure, plan, promise, Nick thought. Bound. Michelle feared. Rob tried control. Romy tried save. And when snapped, deal done. The last pages, Nick journal. Final note, fast writing date, morning deaths. Tonight. Storm here. Turned lock. Blood speak. In quiet. Finally, hear truth. If not work, nothing did. No one knows last line. But clear. Nick thought not murder. Thought freedom. Where journal now? Police sealed proof. But leaks keep. More pages. maybe trial. And if half true, not just crime story. Mind horror in money, perfect, pain. Because deal, not just nick notes. Last words, broken family. And as Romy ready, public photo, sounds, story, only question. Truth free her or hurt too. Can ghost bother family no mark? In Reiner family sad end, name keeps coming like repeat. Never blamed, never there, but always Carl Reiner, dad at start, whose laugh made generation fun and whose quiet maybe made next bad. He died 2020 with love, nice words, respect. To world, comedy, genius, warm old Hollywood. Man-made Dick Van Dyke show, wrote with Mel Brooks, symbol good entertainment. But to family, inside, different. Not bad, not mean, but legend. And legends can hurt more than people. The weight name. Before Nick born, before Rob made When Harry Met Sally, before Romy saved whispers on old phones, Carl big, strong, most no question. He not shout, said old family friend, no need. You wanted make Carl happy, needed his smile. No smile, felt bad. Rob, from young, shaped like dad. Same wit, same room control, but same no handle mess. And according close to both, Carl quiet about problems set, way for next. He believed keep inside. One writer said, all family, stay family. No help talks, no mess. The last talk.